Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the academic procession and the Chancellor.
I declare that the 592nd Convocation of McMaster University for the conferring of degrees is now in session.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. My name is David Farrar, and I am the Provost and Vice President Academic of the University. This afternoon, I have the great pleasure of acting as your Master of Ceremony and of welcoming you all to this Convocation ceremony. I would like to start by recognizing and acknowledging that we meet today on the traditional territories of the Mississauga and the Haudenosaunee nations within the lands protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. I would also like to take this opportunity to acknowledge some of the notable leaders joining me on stage: our Chancellor, Dr. Suzanne Labarge, our President and Vice Chancellor, Dr. Patrick Dean, the Vice President, University Advancement, Ms. Mary Williams, Dean and Vice President, Health Sciences, Dr. Paul O'Byrne, the Acting Vice Provost and Dean of Graduate Studies, Dr. Michael Thompson, Acting Vice President, Research, Dr. Karen Mossman, the Dean of Social Science, Dr. Jeremiah Hurley. We're joined by Associate and Assistant Vice Presidents, Associate and Assistant Deans, Chairs, Directors, faculty members, and several honored guests. Before we start, I would ask all of you in the hall to turn off all of those electronic devices that may beep or ring during the ceremony. And it is now my pleasure to call upon our Chancellor, Dr. Suzanne Labarge, to make her own welcoming remarks.
Welcome, honored guests, staff, faculty, families, friends, and most importantly, graduands. This is an exciting day for all of you who are graduating today, as well as for all those people who have supported you and stood behind you, and in many cases have had a key role in you being here today. You've achieved a great deal to get here, and you should all be very proud of your success and looking forward to what the future might bring. Congratulations, and enjoy the ceremony.
I would now like to welcome Dr. Patrick Dean, President and Vice Chancellor, to the podium, who will be presenting our honorary degree recipient.
Madam Chancellor, by the authority of the Senate of McMaster University, I have the honor to present Ronald P. Schlegel. Ron Schlegel has built groundbreaking careers in fields as diverse as research, agriculture, healthcare, and urban development. He is a philanthropist, entrepreneur, and community builder. The common thread uniting Dr. Schlegel's diverse endeavors, however, is his dedication to health, both at the individual and community levels. Dr. Schlegel earned a bachelor's degree in physical and health education from Western University, an MSc in exercise physiology from the University of Illinois, and a PhD in social psychology and preventative medicine from the Ohio State University, before becoming an assistant professor at the University of Windsor. He then joined the Faculty of Applied Health Sciences at the University of Waterloo, where he helped establish what is now the School of Public Health and Health Systems. He also founded the Schlegel UW Research Institute for Aging and is developing a center of excellence for innovation in aging there as well. He has published more than 50 scholarly articles. At the same time as he was building this impressive career in academia, Dr. Schlegel was also building businesses, beginning with agriculture. When he was still an undergraduate student, he began operating a 1,200-acre farm. For more than 4 decades, he has been president of a successful poultry producer, and he is also chairman of the Toronto Stockyards Land Development Board. Under the banner of Schlegel Urban Developments, Dr. Schlegel has also created several healthy neighborhood developments with a focus on intergenerational living, unique architecture, energy efficiency, and integration with the natural environment. Since 1987, Dr. Schlegel has been president of Schlegel Villages, which owns and operates nearly 20 seniors living villages across Ontario. He has been named the International Innovator of the Year for Seniors Care and received the Service Award for Geriatric Excellence, or SAGE, while his company has earned multiple honors from organizations such as the International Council on Active Aging, the Ontario Long-Term Care Association, and the International Association of Homes and Services for the Aging. Dr. Schlegel has been the owner and chairman of Homewood Health since 2010. In that capacity, he has built Homewood into a national leader in mental health and addiction care, as well as employee assistance programs. Under the Homewood banner, he founded the not-for-profit Homewood Research Institute, which has a number of scholarly connections with McMaster University. He was also a founding member of the Global Business and Economic Roundtable on Addiction and Mental Health. An officer of the Order of Canada, Dr. Schlegel is a member of the Communitech Entrepreneur Hall of Fame and the Waterloo Region Entrepreneur Hall of Fame. He has received numerous awards for his business and community leadership, including the Ernst & Young Entrepreneur of the Year Award in Ontario, the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal, the Waterloo Region Barnraiser Award, and an honorary doctorate from the University of Waterloo. He was named Outstanding Philanthropist by the Waterloo Wellington Community Philanthropy Awards, an honor he has earned with a wide range of visionary contributions to causes including research, social services, education, heritage protection, and economic development. Madam Chancellor, I present Ronald Schlegel to you so that you may recognize his diverse contributions to research, academic innovation, urban planning, seniors care, agribusiness, urban development, education, and community building by conferring upon him the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa.
You have to face me whether you like it or not. Ronald Schlegel, by the authority of McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Laws, honoris causa at McMaster University, with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to that degree. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll get you to sign over here.
I'll get your... Okay, thanks.
I would now like to invite Dr. Schlegel to deliver the convocation address.
Madam Chancellor, President Dean, honored guests, graduates, family, and friends. The title of my talk is a quote from the American jurist Oliver Wendell Holmes, Jr. All callings are great when greatly pursued. All callings are great when greatly pursued. I always like when people consider their jobs as a calling. In fact, we look for that value perspective or value proposition whenever we interview. Do they view their employment as a calling or simply as a job? I want to address you today with a rather simplistic convocation speech, with few, if any, quotations from the great philosophers, nor any other scholarly directives about how you as graduates should proceed with your careers or lives from this point forward. Rather, I want to tell you a simple story about a rather simple person, mainly myself, if I can be so vain and presumptuous on this august occasion. I want to tell you a bit about what I have done, not a litany of so-called achievements, but rather what has and continues to motivate and inspire me in my own life endeavors. If graduates, you can draw one or two parallels for yourself as you venture forth with your own story, then mission accomplished. Hopefully you will identify with me in some way. I grew up on a farm west of London, Ontario, the son of a social entrepreneur, a farmer, a business person, which included owning a private hospital, and a Mennonite minister. My father had a three-pronged career, or should I say, three callings, all greatly pursued, in parallel throughout his lifetime. It is almost uncanny, perhaps even divine, to realize as I reflected for today, how I have evolved like him almost with a three-pronged career as well. In fact, in almost the same three areas, farming or agribusiness, healthcare, and ministering, the latter disguised as a professor pontificating. My earliest identity, and still one that prevails, is that of a farmer. Many of my friends today continue as farmers. This identity has taught me to remain a simple person. It has taught me to be straightforward and non-pretentious. It has taught me that your word is your bond. Whatever you say is what you do. Your reputation is one of your biggest assets in any community. My life as a farmer continues to remind me of the core values of trustworthiness and honesty, and to challenge me to ever improve in applying these values in all my other walks of life. As a farmer, I learned how to take risk each year when planting the spring crops, or how to deal with the many freedoms offered by life on the farm, where responsibility, not rights, is the first word. Or neighbor helping neighbor when in need, the old-fashioned barn raising still in vogue in rural Ontario today through many different forms of mutual aid. Again, I encourage everyone here today to keep one foot firmly planted in the soil, down in the farm, to use a metaphor. My good friend, the Right Honourable David Johnston, Canada's 28th Governor-General of Canada, wrote a book this year on, quote, Trust, 20 Ways to Build a Better Country. It describes how trust is built painstakingly via many small incremental steps, but may be lost very quickly by one major gaffe or wrong deed. But it is both the glue and the fuel which builds communities and builds a great nation. I encourage all of us here today to keep one foot firmly planted in the soil down on the farm in order to absorb and nurture these values, these fundamental and foundational values. Turning from my life as a farmer to my second calling, that as a businessman in health care, more specifically, the field of aging and seniors care. Our businesses of seniors care, which we call Schlegel villages, all started in 1953 at the age of 10 when my dad bought a nursing home in London and where we lived in an adjoining apartment. And I carried meal trays to residents 3 times a day. Then in 1969, when I purchased my father's interest in a large nursing home near London. And from that one to now 19 seniors villages across central and southwestern Ontario. This expansion has little to do with accumulating wealth. It has everything to do with seeing the joy and life purpose on seniors' faces when I walk in the front door. Or I see the success of our Wisdom of the Elder program, referred to as the Green Bench, where I see their wisdom being passed along to younger generations. Our communities need the influence of our seniors more than ever before. We need community hubs which place seniors at the center of our community. We need community hubs to help seniors themselves to age well, because we now know that social connectedness is critical to aging well. I've often said that the wisdom of the elder is the greatest untapped resource within Canada. A wise elder at our village of Winston Park in Kitchener wrote me a note when he saw I had won the Barn Raiser Award for Waterloo Region some 7 or 8 years ago. It reads, quote, life is not a journey to the grave with the intention of arriving safely in a pretty and well-preserved body, but rather to skid in broadside, thoroughly used up, totally worn out, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. I have noticed throughout my life that the elders have been my mentors. I get most of my insights and learnings from the actual residents themselves. There is the aphorism that says, the doctor learns much from his patient. I simply listen to our elderly residents and observe what puts a sparkle into their eye. Or I'll work on a Saturday at the front reception desk at one of our nursing homes or villages so I can listen to the residents talk. I'm not a genius in what I am involved and have helped to design or create. My life has been filled with good luck. A figured magnet on our home fridge says, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. To repeat, luck is where preparation meets opportunity. I've noticed that the more I prepared, only the beginnings of which occurred during my formal studies, the more opportunities seemed to come along. We often fail to recognize opportunity because it comes in the form of more and more preparation, more and more work as we continue throughout our life. However, if we believe that we have arrived upon graduation, then I predict there will be very little luck throughout our lives. As mentioned by President Dean, I've been exceedingly fortunate to be recognized with so many awards over my lifetime. From the Citizen of the Year for Waterloo Region this year, to Entrepreneur of the Year for Ontario some 6 years ago, to Officer Level Lord of Canada. But all these and other recognitions always have been we awards, not me awards. The underlying theme throughout these awards has been that of a community builder. But there's no way this could be achieved or could have been achieved by one specific person, only through the efforts of many, hence we awards. If we travel through life as me, it will be a lonely sojourn. If we travel as we, it will take longer to get there, but we will travel much further. So find the we's in your life and travel together. Find those with a similar passion. This reminds me of a recent saying in the Air News, a small rural weekly newspaper. Quote, use what talents you possess. The woods would be very silent if no birds sang except those that sang the very best. Hopefully, graduates, your life will inspire the entire woods to break out as a great choir, inspiring each other to keep building communities as we sing together and fill the woods with the sweetness of four-part harmony. So as I have also been encouraged to join this great choir of social entrepreneurs and community builders, hopefully my own work and life will in turn inspire others to join as well as we together swell our communities, and indeed the entire nation of Canada, with social entrepreneurs and community builders. People ask me, when will I retire? I reply that it's technically impossible to retire since I've never worked a day in my life. I've enjoyed everything so much that it has been all play for me. I have a feeling that I'll keep on going until thoroughly used up, worn out, and skidding broadside into the grave, loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. And hopefully singing all the while with the other birds in the woods. I challenge you, whatever your graduates, I can't see you, but you're here, whatever your field of study for which you are receiving your graduation diploma today, that you will realize that every calling is great when greatly pursued. Whatever your particular discipline or future endeavors may be, these will be great if greatly pursued. May you continue to prepare, and then prepare yet more throughout your lifetime, as you now go beyond your formal university days. And may you remain simple enough in order to recognize the many opportunities. Let me refer to these as callings that will come your way. Indeed, may you be thoroughly used up as you skid towards your finish line, but sweetly singing and with joy, all the way with all the other birds in the woods. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Schlegel, for those wonderful words. I must admit that throughout my career, I've met a lot of business people, I've met a lot of philanthropy people, but it's rare that you run across someone like Dr. Schlegel, who's combined his business with building a community. And for that, you can understand why he's the kind of person that we always are delighted that he will accept an honorary degree from McMaster. We are enormously proud to have him as part of the McMaster family. His contribution to society has been enormous, and I have absolutely no doubt from what he's done so far, he is certainly going to go out with, wow, what a ride.
President Dean will now come forward to present the graduands to our Chancellor for admission to their degrees.
Will the graduands please stand? Madam Chancellor, on behalf of McMaster University Senate, I present to you these candidates and those in absentia in order that you may confer the appropriate degrees upon them. And I bear witness that they are worthy and suitable.
Graduands, by my authority and that of the McMaster University Senate, I have the great pleasure to admit to those before me today and those in absentia to their individual degrees at McMaster University with all of the rights and privileges pertaining to those degrees. My sincere congratulations to you all. Please be seated.
Graduates, I now ask each of you to join me on stage so that the Chancellor and I may welcome you to the McMaster community of scholars.
Ladies and gentlemen, so that each graduate's name may be heard, it would be appreciated if during the presentation of the graduands, you would hold your collective applause to the end of each degree category. Thank you. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Ahmed Almawi. Laura Erin Bowie. Jarniel Dixon. Claudia Lynn Carr Hong. Vicky Kwan. Sanchia Miller. Rowan Ramesh Nakari. Francesca Catherine Brundisny. Sarah Lynn Newell. Yunju Song. Valerie Gilbert Ullett. Marjan Wali Atiye. Shohag Vatin Kodigian Sanani. Kim Maiden. Victoria Miller. Suvarsha Vaniyasinghe. Jewel Imani. Desislav Lukov. Jillian England Mason. Duncan Stewart Henderson Cameron. Laura Elizabeth Keating. Christopher Rowley. Jasmine Turner. Susan Bookie Bassett. Andrea Cross. Patrick George McPhee. Jenna Smith. Sandra Vanderkay.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Biomedical Discovery and Commercialization. Thomas James Burrows. Sawyer Carabellas Pittman. Alicia Posca. Ryan John Richard Runciman. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science. Brendan Scott Patterson. Michael Robert Marshall Renieri. Priyanka Sivaraja. Krishna Srinivasan. Rachel Simkiewicz. Nicholas Yell. Sheila Jean Bourgeois. Tana Carole Bradbury. Heather Hardy. Colleen Hogan. Victoria Lane. Wendy Manning. Cornelia Pochevsky. Vanessa Helen Pasteruk. Kinna Welsh Patterson. Alexa Grace Petta. Erin Eileen Pinard. Carolyn Agnes Raymond. Nadia Shahjahan. Lovepreet Kaur Singh. Elaine Patricia Skeen. Carrie Stone. Rachel Lee Walthert. Shira Danielle Zapersky. Sylvia Gawad. Noor Arrow Nasser. Casey Belanger. Alana Shangur. Carolyn Denise Chenery. Sophie Den Otter Moore. Danielle M. Denwood. Afe Perigin. Noor Al Dasuki. Khalid Fahum. Talia E. Filler. Jessica Shannon Fowley. Victoria Giglio. Nina Woon. Andrew Irwin. Mariki June Urians. Ganesha Kalra. Richa Karki. Fazila Latif Kassam. Gavin Liffman. Selena Aliyah Manji. Rachel Morgan. Toluwanimi Olufadaj. Yuma Adele Nasser Omar. Arun Atin Patel. Faruhi Pavandi. Dana Potashern. Panthea Puraman. Amber Purewall. Sonia Rayat. Krithika Seth. Gitika Sharma. Munu Sharma. Bhuvani Sivayana Sundaram. Aaron Slade. Suman Verdu. Nicola Nadine Vieschek. Caitlin Elizabeth West. Schwan Yu. Muhammad Shakib Akhtar. Ali Al-Sagir. Eleni Demetra Bednar. Fawaz Fendakli. Jillian Emma Halliday. Adam Edward Haynes. Danielle Alexandria Hilton. Anusha Jaffer. Alex Kozaras. Inez Menyak. Suleen Alexandria Miller. Shovik Mitra. Joseph Musa. Anna Tom Powerkeel. Danielle Tahir Qureshi. Sean Shepard. Cindy Louise Steele. Victoria Zook. Lowell Francis Lim Solanico, Notario. Ahmed Ayash. Madison Laurel Beatty. Riddhi Desai. Molly Gingrich. Maria Kale. Sai Sakti Krishna. Colleen Elizabeth McKenzie. Emma Louise Price. Grace Terry Teskey. Menyu Zeng. Hana Tso. Fiza Arshad. Melissa LG. Melissa Furtado. Rajun Kathrihir. Stephen John Mancini. Savera Owes. Allison Elizabeth Arden. Kaylee Bigar. Christina Cheng. Elizabeth Ann Clare. Erin Eggleton. Crystal Fox. Ashley N. Fry O'Rourke. Elizabeth Marie Garofalo. Rosemary Ilniski. Constantina Julian Ippolito. Emily Sarah Evans Kedwell. Angela Korpuram. Priyunga Kulasagaram. Lindsay Kelly Lassard. Jasprit Panag. Fernanda Carolina Polenko. Megan Elizabeth Rodnask. Michelle Sears. Andrea Summers. Brian Robert William Scooch. Stephanie Elizabeth Tiffin. Alandria Wickett. Marie Lee Hughes. Katrina Nicole Aguiar. Victoria Ella Hain. Shannon Cassidy Killip. Timmy Tope Atabank Oefeso. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science Occupational Therapy. Maimuna Yasmin Abdul Maman. Hina Abdullah. Ashley Dawn Best. Mitchell Bewick. Carly Bialowas. Caitlin Ann Bain. Meredith Bocott. Chelsea Victoria Breckles. Kimberly Brochu. Ashley Carnegie. Audrey Carter. Stephanie Yao Ying. Emily Elizabeth Childs. Kyla Calling. Kairani Joanne Crawford. Matthew Kenneth Valence Ellis. Cassandra Fritz. Tanya Gabrielle. Chelsea Gagnon. Jennifer Gronenberg. Andrea Elizabeth Harroter. Zoe Hodgins. Kevin Holman. Natalie Istabulian. Claire Catherine Yachik. Mackenzie K. Shannon Knutson. Matthew Koch. Joyce Wei Yu Kwang. Meredith Joy Lejar. Rebecca McGuff. Rosemary Grace McKee. Courtney Elizabeth Mukaraker. Christina Marie Morinello. Chantel Neal. Elisa Paturich. Michelle Sankey. Katerina Schwabe. Sarah Season. Nitsa Kagaras. Caitlin Wayno. Courtney Wilkins. Rebecca Ann Winter. Ming Kin Wong. Kestrel Nicole Woodley. Joey Zayad. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Science Physiotherapy. Kareem Ali. Connor James Balzer. Devin Michael Brooks. Connor Kaba. Lily Xiao. Jennifer Cheng. Ryan Comber. Helena Dachkovic. Javier Havadi Air. Michael Dick. Kirsten Dickout. Suzanne Dickey. Margot Emmeline Dodds. Karen Essa. Yukino N. Fukushima. Amanda Mary Garvin. Nicole Danielle Germain. Rebecca Grubb. Lisa Guidoni. Christina Havisto. Bahar Hashemi. Abby Hannah Hurd. Victoria Julilian. Jane Noah Koch. Thomas Lawrence. Sharon C. Lumley. Emma Liss. Deanna Liu. Natasha Lowen. Orson Liu. Mackenzie Merritt. Eileen Minton. Karen Moreu. Patrick Thomas Morris. Jennifer Lynn Mayutri. David Joseph Nedelko. Olivia Noonan. Erin Victoria O'Henley. Nisha Patel. Travis Pavey. Joey Pelletier. Lucas David Prue. Lorenzo Miguel Rosas. Jacob Rulick. Chris Sorrow. Megan Schnur. Povendeep Sekhon. Anne Catherine Stottisbury. Reuben Matthew Thomas. Mario Wadi. Fiona Wilson. Shayna Wilson. Ciara Wright. Michael James Yorfido. Alexandra Elizabeth Young. Marie Youssef. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Master of Public Health. Rachel Mary Bombery. Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Doctor of Medicine. Sashendra Baldeo. Taylor Joseph Calder. Nathan Flores Miranda.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Science in Nursing. Mariam Habib. Pavan Preet Ranu.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences. Muhammad Ali. Sandra Chen. Fanny Cheng. Yash Dar Diwan. Isabella Yin Fan. Shiliang Ge. Vincent Gerard. Shannon Ying Gue. Arnav Gupta. Jessica Jacob. Yanu Jayakumar. Trisha Joy Kandaya. Diksha Kundapur. Sean Nicholas Leung. Yichen April Liu. Natalie Ariel Loeb. Sarah Markovich. Anfin Matthew. Parsa Marabon Far. Ikuna Nwosu. Reena Patel. David Jonghook Shin. Patrick Wang. Grace Mengshang Shu. An Yi Yu. Betty Zhang.
Madam Chancellor, may I present to you the following graduates of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences, Physician Assistant. Lisa Byman. Troy Campbell. Irene Che. Elise Gabrielle. Allison Heather Gilmore. Orianda Gismondi. Ryan Eilines. Alexandra Kim. Gabrielle Lajoie. Siobhan Marie Manning. Lauren Myers. Tanya Nathakumar. Amanda Parada. Katrina Puglia. Emily Strain.
Let's give one more round of applause to all of our graduates. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to introduce Ms. Betty Zhang, a graduate of the degree Bachelor of Health Sciences, who will be delivering the valedictory address.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Labarge, President Dean, Provost Dr. Ferrar, esteemed faculty, honored guests, and of course, the McMaster Faculty of Health Sciences graduates. My name is Betty Zhang, and I am humbled to welcome you here today. Fellow classmates, I am here to congratulate you, to honor you for your success, and to share with you the story about the importance of a role model in a community. We all come from different walks of life. I grew up in a small town where everybody knew who you were, and coming to McMaster was a truly strange and intimidating experience, with MDCL being taller than almost every building in our town, and with the hustle and bustle of 30,000 undergraduate and postgraduate students. But the culture here of diversity, acceptance, and integrity made it easy to call this place my home. I was simply in awe by the curiosity and collaborative engagement of my peers through problem-based learning. Whether you come from a healthcare or research background, whether you're in the bachelor's, master's, or PhD stream of learning, I'm sure you could all relate to that strange experience of being too intimidated to tackle the problem at hand, and saw how that was quickly transformed into this collaborative engagement with your peers in identifying the problem, gathering evidence, and challenging existing ideas. And now we've come to the product of it all. It is a great honor to receive the degree that we are receiving today from a world-class institution in the education of health sciences. But understand that this is a privilege that not everyone in Canada or maybe even in Ontario can enjoy. In the small town where I grew up, very few of my classmates were able to pursue a university education, and barely a handful chose to pursue one in healthcare. This is a reality too often hidden from view. The high school graduates who head off to university in the lowest proportions are often those from rural communities. But in the underserved community where I grew, every effort made towards mentorship made a vast difference on the education of the children there. I remember the 92-year-old lawyer who trained me as a hospital gift shop volunteer, which allowed me to find my first part-time job, which funded my first year here at Mac. And I remember the generous support of the director of the youth center, who helped me raise awareness about the crisis of youth homelessness I was seeing in my own high school. And I know that my story is not unique. In fact, the success of the entire graduating class is buoyed on the unconditional love and support of preceptors, supervisors, family, and community. I want to say thank you to those of you sitting in the audience who have role modeled ethics, motivation, and maybe even career pathways for our graduates here today. When community members like yourselves invest in the next generation, you are not only cultivating an environment conducive to learning and exploration, but what you're doing is you're role modeling the power of human capital to compensate for educational disparities within our communities. And understand that education disparity is not isolated to rural communities. In fact, it is shockingly prevalent here in the urban centers of Hamilton. Upon coming to McMaster, I devoted 3 years to mentoring refugee youths through the YMCA's Newcomer Youth Center. I had the extreme privilege of watching the shy grade 9s who often struggled heavily with English eventually grow to be able to browse the McMaster program catalogs to see which courses they needed to boost their grades in order to apply. I found an immense sense of fulfillment in seeing myself as a role model, a mentor, for the first time, who were able to equip these students with the language and mathematic resources they need in order to overcome systemic barriers in the way of their education. And I know that the story is brief, but I hope that this will inspire you to try to find fulfillment by reaching back out into your communities. It is with anxiety and excitement that we walk across this stage today to pursue the dreams that education has made possible. Which is why I ask you to take a moment to reflect on those who have helped you build bridges over your barriers. I challenge you to use the networks and skills that you've developed at McMaster to help others build bridges over their barriers. And I ask that regardless of the grand designations and bigger benches that you seek, to always come back to your roots and give back to the communities who have pooled together their time and resources to bring you to where you are. I am so proud to be able to join you in the celebration of your achievements, and congratulations, class of 2018.
Thank you, Betty. May I now introduce Katrina McFadden, a 2005 MBA graduate. Katrina is a representative of the McMaster Alumni Association and will now present the Distinguished Alumni Award for the Sciences and will then deliver the Alumni Association address.
We present the 2018 McMaster University Distinguished Alumni Award for the Sciences to Dr. Jan Kristela. Jan Kristela is a leader in women's and newborn health in her home province of British Columbia, across Canada, and internationally. After graduating from McMaster's Michael G. DeGroote and School of Medicine in 1981, Dr. Kristela began a distinguished career as an obstetrician gynecologist. Known for her ability to improve public health outcomes, she has championed provincial efforts to enhance breast screening and perinatal health while also working extensively in Africa, in particular by spearheading obstetrical training in countries including Ethiopia and Tanzania. She played a key role in establishing a landmark partnership between BC Women's Health Hospital and McMaster University in Uganda to help train physicians in emergency childbirth. In 2008, Dr. Kristela became the president of BC Women's Hospital and Health Centre and vice president of Provincial Women's and Newborn Health for the Provincial Health Services Authority. Since the conclusion of her tenure in that role in 2017, she has continued her clinical work and is a clinical professor with the Faculty of Medicine at the University of British Columbia. She is also Director of Women's Health with the Canadian Network for International Surgery. Dr. Kristela has served as the President of the Society of Obstetricians and Gynecologists of Canada, as an expert advisor to the Canadian Institute for Health Information for Maternity, and she was the founding chair of the Aboriginal Maternity Committee of the BC Perinatal Health Program. She is also a member of the editorial board of the JOGC, the Journal of Obstetrics and Gynecology Canada. A member of the Order of Canada, Dr. Kristela has also received the University of Waterloo's Distinguished Alumni Award, the YWCA Women of Distinction Award, the British Columbia Community Service Award, the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Award Medal, and the National Leadership Award of the Federation of Medical Women, the Canadian International Surgery Volunteer of the Year Award, and she was named an Honorary Alumna of the UBC Faculty of Medicine. Having had the opportunity to chat with Dr. Kristela before the ceremony today, I can say I definitely left that conversation feeling very humbled indeed. McMaster is proud to recognize Dr. Jan Kristela of the class of '81 with the 2018 Distinguished Alumni Award for the Sciences.
Well done. We'll post the picture. Sure.
Chancellor Labarge, President Dean, McMaster faculty, fellow alumni, honored guests, and most especially the members of the McMaster class of 2018. Not long ago, or probably a lot longer than it seems. I was in the audience here at Convocation instead of on the stage. I remember well the feelings of limitless possibilities, but also the desire to get on with the next stage of life and all that it would bring. To the newest members of the McMaster Alumni Association, I want to welcome you to the Mac Alumni family on behalf of the more than 190,000 members who have come before you. It's a large, diverse group, and I know you're going to fit in just fine. Right now, you may feel like there's no big reasons to stay connected to the Alumni Association. This is a feeling I would have had myself. So I'm here today to encourage you and help you see that, especially in your first few years after graduation, the association can do a lot for you. For example, you can access social activities, career assistance, and online and in-person networking through our Mac 10 program. And if you haven't already used our online mentoring program to access the wisdom of hundreds of fellow Mac grads, I encourage you to take advantage of the network that's waiting to help you with your next steps. I personally have found that participating in that program is of value to both the mentee and the mentor. If you would benefit from a personal touch, visit the Alumni Career Counselor, whose role it is to assist recent graduates, such as yourself, in successfully achieving their career goals. You'll learn about Mac 10 and other alumni programs if you watch your email inbox and follow the Alumni Association. The most important thing is to pick and choose the opportunities that mean the most to you, where you want to get involved. The association can do everything from connecting you to an alumni hangout in a new city that you've just moved to, or it can help you get a great deal on insurance for your first car or apartment. There's way more information at mac10.ca and on all the emails you'll be getting, so you don't need me to go through all of the different opportunities. But let me finish by encouraging you to stay connected. You'll receive Mac, the Alumni News magazine, and each month you'll see Maroon Mail, our e-newsletter. And I find that that's one way, if I stay connected through that email, that I know basically most of what's going on. Your relationship with McMaster can and should really continue beyond the moment you return your graduation gown. And I hope it does, as personally, I have found a great deal of value in an extended relationship. I hope the university is part of your progress, your story, your life, for a long time, because really, you're just getting started. This is a great day for you, and I'm a little jealous, because as I said, I can remember sitting in that seat thinking about everything that was ahead of me, the limitless possibilities. So congratulations, enjoy your accomplishment, and welcome to the McMaster Alumni Association.
Thank you, Katrina. I now invite Dr. Dean back to the podium to deliver his President's Address.
Madam Chancellor, Dr. Schlegel, distinguished colleagues, graduates, ladies and gentlemen. A strange English saying with which you're likely all familiar asserts that curiosity killed the cat. Cats certainly do enjoy nosing around in things, and of course that can be dangerous for them on occasions. But we haven't always believed that such behavior has potentially fatal consequences. In fact, the proverbial cause of feline death until the very end of the 19th century was not curiosity, but care in the sense of worry or anxiety. Care killed a cat is the form of the proverb we find in Shakespeare, for example. In 1898, however, we find for the first time curiosity killed the cat appearing in print. Well, what else happened in that year, 1898? William Ramsay and Morris Travers discovered the rare gases neon, krypton, and xenon, without which the long-life light bulb and the thermal multi-pane window would not have been possible. Marie and Pierre Curie revealed in July that they had discovered polonium. Polycarbonates, without which we would not have DVDs today, were first discovered, and polyethylene, plastic, was first synthesized. 433 Eros, the first near-Earth object, was discovered in the sky. Physician and Nobel laureate Camillo Golgi discovered the Golgi apparatus, the network inside cells which enables the transmission and reception of information between cells. Rudolf Diesel patented what was later to be known as the diesel engine. And on December the 21st of that year, the Curies discovered radium. All of these discoveries were, in one way or another, the result of curiosity. And it is certainly true that a number of them were very dangerous discoveries. Marie Curie, for example, died in 1934 of aplastic anemia caused by radiation exposure. 433 Eros, the 16-kilometer diameter asteroid, whose orbit brings it perilously close to Earth, could certainly have apocalyptic consequences for all of us, including those descendants of the cat who discovered it. But of course, strictly speaking, such a hypothetical disaster would have nothing to do with the curiosity of the person who identified the asteroid. In fact, if it were on a collision course for Earth, it might be better not to know about it. The cat will be dead, whether curious or incurious in that case. Most speakers of English today know that curious cat proverb and have assimilated its message. Its message quite easily assimilated in the nuclear age, that he that prieth into every cloud may be struck with a thunderbolt, as an older English proverb puts it. Interestingly, though, in the mid-20th century, there emerged a rejoinder to the original proverb that is still very little known. In response to the declaration that curiosity killed the cat, came the assertion that satisfaction brought it back. In other words, the negative consequences or effects of curiosity are redeemed by the knowledge it generates. Or put yet another way, satisfaction, the possessing of answers and achieving of solutions, is inseparable from, and in a real sense justifies, the sometimes risky journey which curiosity compels us to take. Albert Einstein famously said of himself, "I have no special talents, I am only passionately curious." And from that passionate curiosity came insights that altered fundamentally the way in which our universe is understood, as well as our relationship with that universe. Without the general theory of relativity, no GPS would work accurately. Without his 1904-1905 theory of the photoelectric effect, we would have no solar panels. And without his 1917 theory of stimulated emission, we might have no lasers. Remember, lasers, an acronym for light amplification by stimulated emission of radiation. It is a source of great satisfaction and an illustration of the power of curiosity that Dr. Donna Strickland, one of the winners of this year's Nobel Prize for Physics and an alumna of McMaster University, conducted her Nobel-winning work while a PhD student at the University of Rochester in New York. Demonstrating the truth of Einstein's assertion that the important thing is not to stop questioning, Dr. Strickland looked for ways to increase the peak power of lasers, to amplify the existing means of amplifying light, as it were. And her invention, chirped pulse amplification, won her the 2018 Nobel Prize. Curiosity is fundamental to the research mission of our university. The desire to understand the world around us and to ask and answer the questions we have is the element that underpins all the work that happens in labs, libraries, offices, and performance spaces across the campus. Not all the questions we ask, and not all the answers we provide, have immediate application or impact. But all of them deepen our understanding and lead us on to other questions and answers which may in time have a transformative effect upon human beings, culture, society, and the physical world. That is the satisfaction that ultimately validates curiosity, whether it is immediately discernible or whether it discloses itself over decades or centuries. the fruit of our questioning, sustains human progress. At last is an observation pertinent to many other aspects of life besides research. Curiosity is as essential to a learner in first year of university as it is to a Nobel Prize-winning investigator. And although the satisfaction that results is more personal than public, accruing in the first instance to the learner rather than to the broader world, in the long run, we owe every great discovery to curiosity as an individual's habit of mind. Here at McMaster, we describe ourselves as research-focused, student-centered, in order to draw attention to this continuity. What goes on in the undergraduate humanities classroom may look and be very different from what goes on in the Michael G. DeGroote Center for Infectious Disease Research, but both are driven by the same spirit of inquiry and questioning. Now, curiosity is no less vital to human progress outside of the academic context. At a time when talk of fake news and even fake research is rife, the importance of questioning the things we read and hear and continuing to be curious about the world around us becomes ever more important. The skills of critical thinking, analysis, discernment, and carefully reasoned judgment, which all of the graduates sitting before me have been exposed to during their time at McMaster, are the tools needed to respond to the post-truth environment in which we find ourselves today. Without curiosity and a highly developed skill at asking questions, we risk becoming like the White Queen in Lewis Carroll's Through the Looking Glass. When Alice observes, "One can't believe impossible things," the White Queen replies, "I dare say you haven't had much practice. When I was your age, I always did it for half an hour a day. Why, sometimes I believed as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast." Graduates, if every morning you follow a certain world leader on Twitter, you too can believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Generally, though, and except in our experience of art and other deliberate acts of the creative imagination, believing impossible things is good for neither the individual nor society. When ideology trumps evidence, as on climate change, for example, the consequences for our world are positively and profoundly destructive. On the other hand, curiosity and an active critical engagement with society and the world open opportunities for us to advance our collective well-being and the health of our planet. Your studies at McMaster, in whatever discipline, have equipped you to contribute meaningfully to that vitally important cause. And I leave you with hope and a heartfelt plea that you will do so. Your energy, idealism, and critical approach to the problems that face us will alone cause us to prevail. Care, worrying, and anxiety will on its own not get us very far. But the habit of asking questions, of pushing always towards understanding and the apprehension of truth, will be our salvation. Remember the proverb with which I began. Whatever the apparent cost of honest curiosity, it is always repaid. Curiosity may appear on occasions to have killed the cat, but satisfaction almost always brought it back for another of its 9 lives. My warmest and best wishes to you all for an exquisite and exceedingly feline future. Thank you very much.
Congratulations to the class of 2018. As a fellow alumna, I'm very much looking forward to see where all of you go from here. But I want to just come back to a couple of comments from that President Dean made. And first, obviously, he had his one on curiosity. I'd like to add one, which I know to the Chinese in the audience would be considered a curse, but it is, may you live in interesting times. And the reason I say that is interesting times are what allow you to be flexible, or forces you to be flexible, adaptable, and curious. And so I think it's actually more of a benefit to us in today's world than it is a curse. But I also want to go back on a little bit of history, since President Dean was remissing about what was going on when, Curiosity Killed the Cat came into vogue, and to realize just how much happens as you look backwards. Dr. Schlegel, who has an amazing career, is probably sitting there saying, did I really do all of that? I just lived one day at a time doing what I could. And it's only when you look back over 50 and 60 years of accomplishments that you realize what one person can do. And I'm going to use a little bit of history as well, because I graduated from here in Canada's centennial year. The whole of the McMaster graduating class that year could fit into this room, where it now takes 15 convocations to go through our graduates. Our class represented maybe 5 to 10% of graduating high school kids. Look at what we are now, 40 to 50%. And the other thing was, as if you looked at it, was largely McMaster was a small town, cultivated the small town communities around Hamilton. We are now a global institution. But even more so, as I look at this group, is we were predominantly white, largely male. And all I can say is, you don't realize as you're going through it, and I've been going through convocations now for 6 years, is just how diverse this community has become. And our valedictorian is a beautiful example of what Canada has become and what this university is part of. So when I look at it, I just go, just think of that as you go through. Yes, we take one life, one day at a time, but what you can accomplish over a period of time is absolutely magnificent. And it is absolutely wonderful to see all of you graduating, and I wish you all the very best as you go forward. Now I get to do a few announcements as well, and so I would ask you to please remain standing at your seats until the academic procession and the graduates have left the hall. And finally, please join now in the singing of our national anthem. After the singing of the anthem, this convocation stands adjourned.